Welcome to my channel, Life and Living. Today I have a beautiful couple with me, Dr. Soma Das Chowdhury and Dr. Bhaswar, Maity.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And I would like to tell you, they are the finalist from Delhi NCR for Dadagiri. And they have received the runners-up prize in the grand finale. Dr. Soma, tell me, how did all this happen?
In a nutshell, if I first have to tell you, all this happened, it was more like a midsummer's night's dream. I would say that was early, of course, summer in Delhi. And like a midsummer's dream, one evening I just came to know that there was this audition happening for Dadagiri, season 10, in our Kali Mandir society inside CR Park. So I happened, and I would say by chance, that week he was also not traveling. I was also not traveling, I was also here. So they said that if you can come as a couple, please come for audition. So we went one evening for the audition, and then they said, okay, introduce both of you, introduce yourselves. After introduction, they said, okay, so what else do you do? So when I said I'm a dentist, and what else? I said, my hobby is also singing. So they said, singing dentist? So that was the kind of tagline they gave for me. I said, yes, my patients also do know me for singing other than dentistry. So that's how then they said, okay, amongst the other couples, we were selected for the show here. And then the rest was all, I don't know, it just happened. I think Bhaswar can say better. It all happened like a dream. We went there, we went to the show, being in the same platform with a person larger than life, like the nobody else than Maharaj Saurabh Ganguly was itself a very big thing. And then we never thought we would win that show, but finally at the end of the episode we were the winners. Till that moment we were not sure that we are going, or we were selected for the grand finale. But they told us that because our score was such, they said after tallying the scores of all the districts, if we see that you guys qualify for the grand finale, we will give you a call. And next morning the call came, that was a Monday morning, I was leaving for my clinic, and the call comes that Didi, you have to get your tickets to come to Kolkata because you guys have been also the participants for the grand finale. So that was again a very big dream come true moment, just because once we thought we have met this person here on stage, appearing a reality quiz show with him, and again for the second time getting the same opportunity was too much more than real actually. So then I told him that...
So the shooting happened in Delhi only?
The first one, of course, the shooting happened in Delhi, here in Film City in Noida. And then
so how, this is a show, of course it is a show for Zee Bangla, and all of us know that this is a show of West Bengal and surroundings. People do attend that. So did they come here in...
so basically always along with all the districts of Bengal, there is one category called Probashi in Dadagiri always, where they call contestants from outside, Bengali contestants from outside Bengal also to participate. But this time, for first time in their history, they have actually come outside Bengal. So they have come out of their zone in Kolkata, and they came to Delhi for the auditions, and the shooting also happened in Delhi here.
During May, I think the IPL was going on.
Yes, IPL was going on, and Dada was here, most likely that was the reason or whatever. But it was a great, I would say...
It was definitely the most remarkable change in the entire season of Dadagiri. Because season
all the 10 seasons, the first time
for the first time they have been outside Bengal, and they have had a full, complete 2 different episodes which were shot over here. And I think back to back it was shot and it was also being telecasted. But this is for the first time they have done. So Delhi became in the history of Dadagiri the first ever city, and we became the most fortunate one to be part of that remarkable journey of
the winners of that first
Bengal.
episode. So that was a very, very big thing, and I would say something that we would cherish all through our lifetime. That was a very different experience,
and that too definitely.
It was definitely amazing because previous 9 season we are in front of the television.
Exactly.
In the 10th season as well we are in front of the television, but being a part of that game, it was all throughout a very thrilling journey for us.
In fact, when we also watched the show later on, when the telecast came and we were watching the show, so we were actually both looking at each other and saying, are those we? Like, you know, we could not even imagine ourselves to be there. Winning was anyway far from, but it was good. It was wonderful gaming, I would say. wonderful to be with such a person there, and the overall experience was amazing altogether.
It's very dignified, no? I mean, Dada is always very...
Dada is dignified, but
unlike any other reality show where there is only same music or this is a kind of a competition where it's also your intellect. The questions are asked, your knowledge, your intellect, overall. So everything together, it's a very, very, I think, dignified kind of a show.
Right.
I think that way Dadagiri is one of the most unique and different show under the G Bangla entire family, because this has its unique name, presence of Saurabh definitely, but the way it has been conducted and the enormous amount of support and the popularity this show has gained continuously for last 9 years before this season 10 is concluded, it is definitely a remarkable way Z has been able to pull out this show.
Yes,
absolutely.
exactly.
You have to mark,
Absolutely,
they came to Delhi and they shot
they came
these
to
two
Delhi,
episodes.
they shot these 2 episodes, and being part of that, amongst those 6 couples, we were one, and then from there again the winning streak. It was quite a journey. In fact, we did not start that well, remarkably, and
we never believed that fast it moved.
Exactly.
We have been selected, we have been the fun way of getting into the game. We still didn't believe when we were declared as the winner of the show, and within next 48 hours we got another call to be in the final.
Part of the grand finale.
It was
just like a Midsummer's Night's Dream.
absolutely.
Right.
Me being an ardent fan of William Shakespeare, cannot think about any other name to it. The only one tagline for it can be a Midsummer's Night's Dream.
Very true. And just tell me if you remember a very wise and witty talking to Dada, and Dada is the way he conducts.
Oh yes.
I've seen. So you remember something? Tell me.
Yeah, I remember especially the first time when we were introducing ourselves. So he asked us that how did we meet, and then of course what happens and what changes happened in his life.
Yeah, after we got married, what all changes happened in our
his
life. Yeah.
So of course I told that the biggest change that has happened in his life probably is that a person who was a Bengali, but not a fish-loving Bengali at all. Rather, he would be away from the fish. He used to literally detest fish. So during our marriage, everybody was quite a bit of stressed that what will happen to this girl, because I was known to be a fishitarian, absolute, and marrying a person who does not like fish was quite a bit of thing. So from there, the biggest change in his life is today he definitely eats fish. Yahan tak, like he eats hilsa fish also.
Okay.
But for that I have to debone it and give it to him. So immediately Dada caught it and said, "Acha, your wife also debones the fish for you." So that's quite a bit of thing. So he immediately caught it. It's very witty. He knows where to catch what. So
and I was sharing a story. I remember after the the entire marriage ceremony, everything is over. At that time, I was posted in Hyderabad. So before we were leaving the house, my Sasuma came to me and saying that, whatever is there, make sure that she gets to eat fish in Hyderabad. I said, I'm not sure where those fish market is, but I'll try to make sure that I find out that.
So, he actually expected that the girl's mother would come and say, keep my daughter safe, keep my daughter happy, take care of her. No, the only statement that she made is, do you get fish in Hyderabad? So he was like...
she was very worried.
Yes, she was very worried, and that's how we definitely. And then he is generally very witty. And I remember the last moment when he asked me that, "Why don't you, being a singing dentist, why don't you sing for us?" And so I also little kind of played witty there. So I sang "Lag Ja Gale," those few lines, and then I told him, after this song, now "Lag Ja Gale," I want a hug from you. So obviously he had no point saying no. So that was also a very big moment for me.
Definitely. So, in your early years, the student life, after that, are you fond of cricket? No.
I think there is no Bengali who doesn't love cricket, and being a Bengali, Saurabh Ganguly has been able to put himself in that height that every Bengali loves him. He's an icon. Definitely he's an icon, but I think every Bengali, when they plays cricket, they love cricket, they watch cricket,
they live cricket.
Ganguly is definitely the most brightest icon for us, and till today I think arguably one of the best cricket captain India has ever got to make the Indian team to its current heights, and of course there is no other people who can compete the way he has stepped it up. So yeah, definitely I think he has always been there. And I remember on the final, the question I got, it was all about, he's one of the, I would say, sacrifice he made for his one of the teammates and who eventually became the next captain of India, Mahendra Singh Dhoni. But that question was on my plate at that point of time, that which was the cricketer for which he had actually given his own position in the team. So he used to play in the third position. So he pulled that man up just because he believed that that potential is there in that. And Mahendra Singh Dhoni did a fantastic innings. He scored a century on that, and then he never looked back. So yeah, those evidences of him sacrificing for his teammate, supporting them, has been enormous in shaping up the entire team. So yeah.
So I think this kind of show must take place in Delhi.
Oh yes, definitely. It not only boosts up your morale, it's also more than reality show. It's also a show for your knowledge, and then I think children, especially, they would get motivated into quizzing. I remember my early days in school time. My first, I would say, the first crush of my life ever, a celebrity crush, was none other than Siddharth Basu from Quiz Time.
Right.
And from then on, I had got into this habit of quizzing in school because I thought quizzing is something, great. So from there, so I think children, again, in between, that period had taken a back seat in schools. Singing, dancing, lot of other things had taken a front seat. Quizzing was taking a back seat. And that moment, I think Dadagiri has acted as a renaissance period to bring it back.
So, Dr. Soma, tell me about, what else you like and how did you become Dr. Soma? Soma from Dr. Soma. Right.
Basically, if I trace back my days into my early childhood, I have seen my father as a doctor always. So my only dream in life about profession was to become a doctor and nothing else. In fact, I have a lot of other hobbies. I love music, of course. I have learned Indian classical music for a long time. I used to write. Literature is always the love of my life. So when I was in class 7th or 8th, one day my father called me and he said, you like literature so much, you're so passionate about literature, so why don't you take up literature as your career? So I told him, I want to keep all the options open in my life. So if I become a doctor, I can still pursue literature. If I study literature, I will not be able to see patients. So I want to keep all my options open in life. So then he had no answer. So he said, okay. So at that time he told me two things I remember very, very well. That one is, he told me, if you want to become a doctor, try to be close to somebody like a family member. He says, people don't call, this is my family engineer, this is my family teacher. Nobody calls like that. But people say, this is my family doctor. So only if you are part of somebody's family can you become that person. So always try to be somebody's family. And he used to always say, try to earn your bread, butter and jam would come on its way. So these are two learnings, I think, which have always been very close to my heart, and I have always tried to follow them. Though I lost my father very young in life. I lost him when I was only 16. But these two learnings I have always followed to be the heart and soul of my profession. So I could not imagine myself to be called as anything other than Dr. Soma. And that was the only criteria I told my husband during my marriage, that I do not want to change my surname. I want to be be called as Dr. Soma Das Chowdhury, because one Dr. Das Chowdhury had started this cycle who could not end it. As another Dr. Das Chowdhury, I want to complete that cycle of life. So that was the only reason behind not changing my surname. So I had told him this. So other than that, of course, music and writing, poetry, English literature, cooking. So in fact, I have always been interested in all kinds of fine arts. And that itself brought me into dentistry, because I wanted to do something which deals with aesthetics. So when I was doing my medical, I told my mother I want to become a dentist, because that way also I would deal with cosmetic and aesthetics. So because of that aesthetic concern, it brought me to where I am today. So that is in a very short my journey about being from Soma to Dr. Soma, where I am today.
Your entire student life you spent in Kolkata?
Yeah, so my graduation days, of course, was in Kolkata. So Dr. R. Ahmed Dental College, Kolkata was my graduation. And then on later I did my post-graduation from KGMC Lucknow. But my graduation days was in Kolkata.
Very good.
Yes,
that. And how you met your, your doctor Bhaswar?
So that's again a very,
a very
interesting
story and connection, destiny, whatever.
Yeah, I would say yes. We do have to believe in destiny.
Did you tell everything to Dada? Did you tell these things to Dada? during your Dadagiri show?
I don't believe we
didn't have these kind of time
enough
enough to
but
do
we
that.
have some offline chit chat later on. But yeah, I mean that time.
What happened is for us, I actually came to know him in 2002 when he was pursuing his PhD. He was a PhD scholar at that time at Central Forensic Science Lab in Kolkata. And I had just passed out, I was just passing out, and then I had slowly gone into private practice. His PhD guide sometimes used to come to me with some dental problems. So that's how we have always met, but we never spoke actually. There was no conversation. Just hi, hello, how are you, that much, nothing beyond that. And then, of course, I think he completed his PhD and he came to Delhi by the time he was working. We did not have any contact. Like it wasn't even a friendship, I can call. Not even friendship. But then after that, then my father-in-law had come to me for some treatment. And during that phase of treatment, my father-in-law was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma, which is a kind of a malignancy. And during those times, he used to call me up for knowing what is going to happen, treatment plan, rest of the things. So that's how we started talking with each other, and that's how from the proposal of marriage came into being. So that is it. It actually didn't even start as a friendship, but finally we never even thought. I think he was the last person I could ever think, or I was even the last person.
I never knew it. I never knew it. For the first time I heard that I was the last
Maybe your
person.
father went home and said, my family doctor.
No, so yeah, whatever.
Did he?
For both of us, we were not in that realm of each other's place that a marriage could happen. But then finally the marriage proposal came up, and then we said, okay, fine. So
I mean, as it says, the marriages are made in
heaven. Correct.
And then people take over. So we had to take this over as a
correct. I think that's how it
partners
went on.
That, yeah.
And so one thing best about our marriage, I don't know, people say, I have found definitely my best friend in life. A person, even if I commit any crime, I can come and tell him that I have done this. That thing has always been there. And I think I have too many things in my platter always at the same time, even doing medical, sometimes going for some music sessions, sometimes writing, too many things to keep me busy, but he never complains. He's always been very, very accommodative. And I told you, for anything and everything, I can just come and just blurt out to him that I have done this. So that place of friendship has been there in our last 16 years of marriage.
That's very good. And that's very interesting. And you run a clinic?
I do run my own personal clinic in CR Park. When I came to Delhi, I first joined Max Hospital. Okay. And then till 2017, I had full-blown OPDs in Max. And then from 17 onwards, I discontinued my OPDs in Max and concentrated only on the clinic. The clinic, I started in 2013. But at that time, I was doing both. But from 2017, I just planned to give up everything and focus only on the clinic. So I've been doing only the clinic now.
So interesting for my viewers too. And quickly I would go to him.
Yes.
Because I heard something like forensic. Elaborate, please.
Yeah, I mean, although the term forensic sounds like a foreign one, but it's not that foreign. I think everyone knows, and there are very, very popular TV shows which actually deals with different kind of criminal case histories, and the forensics is a very, CID is one of them.
Yes,
I think most of the people are very fond of that serial, and that deals with very different aspect of the criminal biology and the forensic science as well. So forensic science deals with multiple different domains which can augment the detection process of evidences. It could be biological evidences like any part of body fluids, hairs, nails and bloods and any kind of thing. Or it could be chemical evidences like people when there is a blast case, when there is a gunshot. So those kind of chemical detection process, or there is an poisoning scenario, or there could be some contamination. So any kind of those chemical evidences. There could be digital forensics as well in today's era of cyber frauds, which has become so much a bigger threat to the world right now. So cyber forensics or digital forensics is one of the very, very upcoming and interesting field today, and very important as well. So forensic deals with all different domains to collect evidences, analyze them and put it in the court of law so that a crime can be convicted on the court of law. That's how the forensic works. So I was never been fascinated for forensic. Again, I think it was also a destiny like that. So I did my graduation concentration on chemistry. And when I was doing, one of the subject was biochemistry, and I almost immediately got hooked into the biology part of the chemistry, and how different part of the body is actually chemistry, but finally determining how the biology works. So when I moved into masters, I definitely chose biochemistry as an option. And after I finished the masters, that was a revolutionary time frame where the human genome for the first time got sequenced. For the first ever time, the world came to know the DNA, every possible coding sequences in the DNA. And I still remember 24 years before, this was a time where people started dreaming across the globe that we'll perhaps got everything in our hand. We'll be exactly knowing why a disease happens, what is stored in the DNA, how we can manipulate it, how we can make a much better life. We can probably create much fruitful and effective medicines. We can create agriculture in a way so that the production will go manyfold to actually support the food crisis across the world. These all dreams were dreamt 24 years before. I must tell, over a period of time, as I moved into the journey, the world has moved into the journey. We have only learned that we know very, very small about the biology per se, the DNA per se. But coming back to the forensic world, it was a very, very interesting journey for me. Once I finished my masters, I joined the doctoral program over there. And during this entire tenure over there, I have been part and parcel of very interesting forensic case studies, DNA case studies, although not directly, but as a part of that group. And yeah, I think my doctoral work also has given me a lot of way to take pride of and celebrate, because there are a couple of very exciting studies I did during my tenure. And yeah, I think one of the interesting study I would like to touch upon.
Yeah, surely.
There is a group in eastern and northeastern part of India.
So I'll just
maybe I think she's more excited about the storytelling component. I can add up the scientific part.
So
yeah, that's something.
There's a particularly in our northeast of India, there are, we know amongst the 7 sister states, there are lots of tribes. So amongst them, there's a large population called Kuki tribe in and around Mizoram and parts of Manipur.
I'll just add one point. So there are Mizo tribe, Kuki tribe, Mara tribe, Lai tribe, and Lusei. So Mara, Mar, Lusei, Kuki, and Mizo. These are the 4-5 small tribal groups.
Kuki tribes. So they have a belief within them that they are not Indians, but they are Jewish. They are Jewish and they belong to Israel. So what happened is, if we trace back to history 5,000 years ago into the biblical history, the Bible period, when Moses actually took his people to Mount Sinai and showed them the promised land, the holy land of today's Israel or Jerusalem. So people, they were really, the Jews were very much kind of in a difficult position. Egyptians were really after their life, and they were fleeing from the Egyptians. And in this condition, they went helter-skelter. So one of those groups are said, led by their leader Manasseh. Manasseh is one of those fathers of the holy tribes. So they, it seems, crossed the Mongolian desert and they entered India through the Burmese border. So while crossing the Burmese border, that is where our northeastern states of Mizoram and Nagaland, they lie. So it seems then they resided there, they inbreeded with the localites, the women, and later on, this was the Kuki tribe. So they believe that they belong to the biblical holy tribe of Manasseh. So they are kind of not Indians, and they have the right to be placed into Israel as Israelites. So that was their kind of concept, and from them they formed a group also called B'nai Menashe. That means sons of Manasseh. They have, if you go to Mizoram, you'll see they're full of synagogues.
Right.
They kind of follow all the Jewish customs, even the Jewish Passover month. So everything, they're very much Jewish. Their verses are they date back to the, the kind of Old Testament of Bible. So they have a lot of things in common, and they believe that they're Jews, absolutely, and they belong to the holy tribe, and they have to be rehabilitated into Israel. So this goes to the historical story of it. Now the scientific part he will tell you.
Yeah, I still remember I came to lab one fine morning. My PhD mentor called me up and he gave me a small paper cutting It was the Telegraph News, and I still remember it was 7 or 8 lines news about the Jewish ancestry and the claims of this Mizo people. And he just called up and told me, look, I want you to pursue this study. Plan your travel to Mizoram, go and collect samples, and you must do some DNA analysis. And this is one simple 1-minute verdict came from him. So I had no clue about what it is all about. So I started learning about them, and you have just heard the historical part of it. So this also made me quite interested to find out if I can add up some value to that. So I planned my travel. I've been there for 15 days, went across multiple schools, talked to people around, took photographs, and then came back with blood samples and some saliva samples collected. So I convinced them, I told the story and ensured that this should be very, very interesting study. And the genetic analysis for the first time probably can add a lot of value which has never been there. There have been all historical evidences, there have been all the cultural way of looking at things, but there have been no solid scientific evidence available. So I came back and we did some laboratory analysis. I would try to simplify for that. So if we look at any human being, we have 46 chromosomes, and out of which there is X and Y, and also there is a small cellular system or organelle, we call it. It's called mitochondria. To simplify, Y chromosome specifies the male lineage, and mitochondria, which also has DNA in it, it specifies the female lineage to it. So if you can study specifically the Y chromosome as well as mitochondria, we'll get to know the lineage pattern. We can trace back. Because when you study any individual today, that DNA will also contain the signatures which had been historically passed on from one generation to the other generation to other generation. So we did those laboratory analysis on that, and if not completely, but there has been certain evidences which was found on the DNA signatures which had been, when compared with the present day Jewish population across the globe based on the scientific data available, 60 to 70% were matching of them. Now people ask question, why not 100%? Because as you can understand, in 5,000 years there are at least 10 generation has passed by. In that entire generations, every time there is an intermixing in terms of marriage and offspring came in, the DNA code started getting diluted and diluted. So
that has to be, because
5,000 years is no.
So if we try to trace back, we may not just exactly the way archaeological evidences are being collected. We never get the complete picture. You get a partial frame and try to deduce the stories back. This was published in a scientific journal and then become a huge international sensation.
Because actually a BBC journalist had come down at that moment and taken his interview on this. So though from his director they had told them to keep the things under hush up because the paper was not yet published, but this gentleman goes and just publishes it all over in the internet. At that moment internet was not as okay, thank God to social media wasn't there as active as today, but yes, internet everywhere, it was in and out. And he started getting a lot of calls from various peoples, including goons from Northeast, saying that you have to stop this work immediately or we kill you. This raised a lot of upheaval in Israel. And there were very eminent people who came down all the way from Israel to India to stop this work. Because as per them, it was utter bullshit and nonsense and they have to stop this. But finally, anyway, the things didn't get stopped. That was his
I mean, I think this science is all about finding out the evidences, not looking back what people believe, but they believe on data. They believe on information.
Finally, in 2010, I think Israeli government acknowledged this. And 10,000 families from Mizoram got rehabilitated in Israel. Again, there was a second one, 20,000 families more went. And I think there are still 25,000 families waiting to go back to Israel. Now, what they're doing in Israel, what kind of status quo they are in, that is of course questionable. But yes, it was acknowledged by the
who is going to send them? I mean, the Indian government,
of course, this is a completely diplomatic exchange that happens, definitely. No, I think a lot of international agencies are involved in this. I think even UN is involved in this, and of course the diplomatic things come into concern, but those are none of our concern as a thing. But yes, his work got some acknowledgement worldwide, I would say, and he was the first person to do this kind of a work sitting here. So that was a very big thing.
Unbelievable, no? I mean, this
it was, I think, one of the most interesting study ever been done on population genomic studies in India. And although later on there has been multiple different studies, so DNA as a biomolecule has entire data set. It's like your horoscope. It's just like you take your horoscope and go to an astrologer. He can look into it and predict what is your past, what is your present, and what is your future, if you believe in it. But DNA arguably has everything which you have inherited, and it has all your good things, all your bad things, and today it has ability from a biomedical science. It can exactly predict the possibilities of all different variety of diseases which you have possibly invite in certain time of life, and they are predictable. They are predictable with evidential
do
proof.
not lie.
Yeah.
They will always say the
And
truth.
this is today is used in very common terminology called precision medicine or precision health. Exactly by knowing the genetic code, every human being can be analyzed and predicted what are the different genetic materials they have inherited from both of their parents, and which kind of disease they are prone to, and what is the best possible medicine which can be prescribed to them. So this is exactly precisely
Very
identified.
targeted medical therapy.
Absolutely.
Instead of earlier what was happening, in fact, when we go for even cancer therapies, when chemotherapies were designed for people, there was a multiple drug concept going on, see, multiple drug use. But nowadays they're trying to kind of reduce those multiple drug structure to 1 or 2 drugs, very, very targeted, customized for that person, so that the side effects of the chemotherapy are nullified
Less.
and very less. Yeah.
This is called targeted therapy. You don't need to go through the torture of the chemotherapy. You don't lose your looks. You don't go through the trauma. You don't need to go through that prolonged period. And these are just like popping a pill once a month. And that's targeted therapy is going to give almost
Such a precise,
targeted support for that particular disease.
So again, it is a very pleasure to have you here, both of you, and I would love to have you again to my show. So thank you so much.
Thanks a ton.